In the electrifying world of mixed martial arts, MMA, one name that resonates globally is Conor McGregor. Born on July 14, 1988 in Dublin, Ireland, McGregor's journey to becoming one of the most iconic figures in combat sports is as compelling as it is tragic. Conor's early life was far from glamorous. Growing up in the working-class neighborhood of Crumlin, he faced the challenges of a modest upbringing. However, it was here that the seeds of his fighting spirit were sown. At the age of 12, McGregor began boxing at the Crumlin Boxing Club, laying the foundation for the striking prowess that would later captivate the world. As a young man with big dreams, McGregor transitioned to mixed martial arts, a decision that would change his life forever. He made his professional debut in 2008 and quickly gained attention for his unorthodox fighting style and charismatic personality. The Irishman's journey to the top of the MMA world was punctuated by his relentless work ethic, audacious predictions, and a left hand that seemed to possess supernatural power. Conor McGregor's breakthrough came in 2013 when he signed with the Ultimate Fighting Championship, UFC. The notorious nickname, a testament to his self-belief and brash demeanor, became synonymous with his brand. McGregor's meteoric rise continued as he claimed the Cage Warriors featherweight and lightweight titles, showcasing his ability to dominate multiple weight classes. In 2015, McGregor achieved what many deemed impossible. He knocked out the long-reigning featherweight champion, Jose Aldo, in just 13 seconds. This victory solidified McGregor's status as a global sensation, and he became the first fighter in UFC history to hold titles in two weight classes simultaneously. While McGregor's ascent was unparalleled, it set the stage for a tumultuous downfall. Success brought immense wealth, fame, and a lifestyle that spiraled into excess. McGregor, known for his brash predictions inside the octagon, began making headlines for his controversial behavior outside of it. The turning point came in 2018 when McGregor infamously threw a dolly through a bus window containing fellow fighters, leading to criminal charges. This incident marked a stark departure from the charismatic showman fans had grown to love. McGregor's antics were no longer confined to promoting fights, but spilt into the realm of legal trouble. The Irishman's relationship with alcohol became increasingly problematic, with several instances of public intoxication and altercations. As McGregor's personal life unraveled, so did his professional career. In 2018, he suffered a submission defeat to Khabib Nurmagomedov, culminating in a post-fight brawl that stained the sport's reputation. Many argue that if you display excessive arrogance in life, your fall from grace can be swift and harsh. Is this notion factual? Over the years, we've witnessed numerous athletes in various sports come and go, but only a handful etch an indelible mark in our memory. Some leave an enduring legacy through their exceptional achievements, while others tarnish their legacy with unsavory behavior. In the world of sports, victories and defeats are an intrinsic part of the journey. While many enthusiasts turn to Asian bookmakers to wager on their favorite sports, athletes have their ebb and flow. Some fall prey to failed drug tests, some opt to explore new horizons beyond their sport, and others tarnish the noble reputation of sports through misconduct. Conor McGregor, a prominent athlete, falls into the latter category. The notorious McGregor has predominantly graced the headlines for all the wrong reasons. While fellow Irish athletes like Katie Taylor ascend to sporting greatness, McGregor's actions have cast a shadow on his legacy, leading to his precipitous downfall. Conor McGregor's ascent to stardom in the world of mixed martial arts, MMA, is nothing short of remarkable. This Irishman elevated the sport to unprecedented heights, becoming a cultural phenomenon in the process. His influence extended beyond the octagon, thrusting the entire nation of Ireland into the spotlight of MMA. This newfound recognition paved the way for other Irish fighters, including Ian Machado Gary. No one can forget McGregor's electrifying rampage through the UFC featherweight division. His campaign was nothing short of legendary, akin to a warlord's conquest, culminating in the capture of the most coveted crown in the land, as he spectacularly dethroned Jose Aldo. Yet, McGregor set his sights even higher. Once ridiculed by fellow fighters, he achieved the unprecedented feat of becoming the UFC's first simultaneous two-division champion and the most prolific pay-per-view draw in MMA history. However, the McGregor we see today is a far cry from the triumphant champion he once was. He has become a mere caricature of his former self. So, How did a man who ascended from obscurity to reign as the king of MMA find himself relegated to the role of a court jester? What precipitated McGregor's dramatic fall from grace? Several aspects set Conor McGregor apart from his peers who came before and after him. While BJ Penn was the first fighter to persuade Dana White to grant a shot at becoming a simultaneous double champion, McGregor was the first to accomplish this feat. At UFC 205, he made history by defeating Eddie Alvarez and securing his status as the first simultaneous double champion in the UFC, a moment that remains magical in the annals of MMA history. Furthermore, McGregor's influence extended to persuading the UFC to permit him to cross over into the realm of boxing, where he faced none other than the legendary Floyd Mayweather Jr. For years, the UFC had staunchly opposed allowing its fighters to participate in non-UFC bouts, primarily to mitigate the risk of injuries that could disrupt their fighting plans. Yet McGregor managed to sway the promotion, and he ventured into the boxing ring against one of the greatest pugilists in history. However, McGregor's audacious pursuit of victory over Mayweather was a task too insurmountable. Despite being the larger man, he couldn't overcome the odds and suffered a sobering defeat by 10th round TKO. Nevertheless, he pocketed a life-changing sum of around $100 million. This extraordinary windfall not only transformed McGregor's financial standing, but also marked the beginning of a concerning change in his demeanor. After the Mayweather bout, the MMA world was unsure if McGregor would return to the UFC and reclaim his status as the face of the sport. He had been stripped of his featherweight and lightweight titles due to inactivity, while Khabib Nurmagomedov had claimed the lightweight championship in his absence. It was Nurmagomedov's actions that ultimately coaxed McGregor back into the octagon, following a public altercation with his friend Artem Lobov. Lobov, a fellow countryman of Nurmagomedov's, had engaged in derogatory remarks about the Dagestani fighter in interviews. This led to an incident where Nurmagomedov confronted Lobov in a hotel corridor. McGregor's response was swift and furious. He assembled a group and boarded his private jet, embarking on a flight to New York. As a bus filled with UFC fighters, including Nurmagomedov, departed the Barclays Center after promotional appearances for UFC 223, McGregor and his cohorts attacked the bus. In the ensuing chaos, shattered glass from a broken window left Michael Chiesa and Ray Borg hospitalized and off the fight card. McGregor was promptly arrested and sentenced to 5 days of community service, marking the beginning of his encounters with the law. Capitalizing on the escalating hostility between McGregor and Nurmagomedov, the UFC scheduled a headline bout between the two at UFC 229. On an athletic level, this matchup made sense, with McGregor having previously held the title before his inactivity-driven stripping, and Nurmagomedov emerging as the new champion. The pre-fight press conferences leading to their clash were marked by McGregor hurling a barrage of personal and religious insults at Nurmagomedov, raising questions about whether his trash talk had crossed a line. However, McGregor failed to disrupt Nurmagomedov's mental fortitude and suffered a convincing submission defeat in the 4th round. Their bout concluded with Nurmagomedov leaping out of the cage to attack McGregor's cornerman, and McGregor retaliating by assaulting one of Nurmagomedov's cousins. This post-fight brawl marred UFC 229 and led to fines and suspensions for both fighters from the Nevada Athletic Commission, NASC. While Nurmagomedov managed to rehabilitate his image, McGregor's troubles were only beginning. In early 2019, the MMA world was stunned by headlines accusing McGregor of sexual assault. Days later, he was found guilty of assaulting a fan who had attempted to take a picture of him, destroying the fan's phone in the process. Several months later, video footage emerged of McGregor punching an elderly man in a Dublin pub, allegedly because the man refused a shot of his proper number 12 Irish whiskey. This dark chapter continued as another sexual assault allegation surfaced later that year. Although McGregor was never formally charged in connection with these allegations, his reputation was irrevocably tarnished. He had become a public relations nightmare for the UFC, and even he realized that he needed to curtail his behavior. In 2020, McGregor announced his return to active competition, he presented a polite, soft-spoken persona in an attempt to regain public favor as he prepared to face Donald Cerrone at UFC 246. As expected, he effortlessly dispatched Cowboy in 40 seconds. The MMA world welcomed him back, envisioning another McGregor title campaign, with a potential rematch against lightweight champion Khabib Nurmagomedov. However, the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic led to global travel restrictions and safety protocols that postponed all UFC events. While the promotion eventually adapted to conduct events with safety precautions, the absence of live crowds deterred the UFC from using McGregor's star power without a gate. He remained inactive while Nurmagomedov suffered a personal tragedy when his father, Abdulmanap Nurmagomedov, succumbed to COVID-19. Promising his mother that he would not continue fighting without his father's guidance, Nurmagomedov announced his retirement from the sport after defeating Justin Gaethje at UFC 254. Despite Dana White's efforts to convince him to return, Nurmagomedov remained steadfast in his decision. During this time, McGregor's opponent Dustin Poirier was booked for a rematch nearly 7 years after their first encounter, which McGregor had won by knockout in 2014. Despite Poirier's growth as a fighter, he was perceived as a quality yet beatable opponent for McGregor's quest to secure a title fight against Nurmagomedov. Furthermore, McGregor expressed interest in a boxing match with the legendary Manny Pacquiao, and he regarded Poirier, a powerful southpaw, as a mere sparring partner in preparation for the real boxing showdown. However, McGregor encountered a humbling defeat, succumbing to a second-round TKO. In the aftermath of his loss, McGregor pledged to donate to Poirier's charity, the Good Fight Foundation. Regrettably, he failed to fulfill this promise and resorted to the brash trash talk that had initially propelled him to fame. This time, his words lacked the sharp wit and cleverness he had once exhibited. Instead, he appeared volatile, resorting to personal insults, even maligning Poirier's family after the rematch was booked. He went as far as to predict that the Diamond would leave the arena on a stretcher. Ironically, it was McGregor who left the arena on a stretcher, fracturing his shin during their UFC 264 bout. Before his injury, he issued death threats to Poirier and his wife. Following this episode, McGregor engaged in an inexplicable scuffle with the rapper Machine Gun Kelly. He then took to Twitter to attack various fighters in an often distasteful manner, only to delete his tweets afterwards. McGregor was further accused of physically assaulting a woman on a yacht in Spain. In June 2023, he faced allegations of sexual assault in a restroom at Game 4 of the 2023 NBA Finals. McGregor's reputation as a fighter continued to erode as he displayed little interest in his UFC return. He reached a low point when he challenged KSI to a bare-knuckle boxing match, marking a stark departure from his past accomplishments in the UFC, including capturing titles and facing boxing legend Floyd Mayweather. McGregor's behavior and conduct, once controversial but somewhat charming, had now taken a sharp turn, causing the world to lose faith in his commitment to his fighting career. The tragic downfall of Conor McGregor serves as a cautionary tale about the perils of unchecked success and the importance of resilience in the face of adversity. As McGregor's tumultuous journey unfolded, the world watched in disbelief as the charismatic fighter spiraled into a series of personal and professional setbacks. Once hailed as a sporting icon and a trailblazer in combat sports, McGregor's fall from grace became a spectacle that transcended the boundaries of the octagon. The once dominant figure, whose audacity and charisma captivated audiences, was replaced by a version of McGregor clouded by controversy, legal troubles, and a seemingly unchecked ego. The man who had conquered multiple weight classes and secured his place in MMA history was now grappling with accusations, legal battles, and a public image tarnished by a string of regrettable incidents. McGregor's attempts at redemption and reinvention proved to be elusive. The goodwill he earned in the early stages of his career, with his meteoric rise and historic achievements, was swiftly eroded by a series of regrettable choices. His fall from grace was not merely a result of sporting defeats, but a consequence of his actions outside the arena. The crux of McGregor's downfall lies in the unchecked arrogance that propelled him to stardom. While confidence and self-assuredness are often celebrated in the world of combat sports, McGregor's approach evolved into a toxic blend of arrogance and recklessness. Success, coupled with financial windfalls and global fame, seemed to feed a sense of invincibility that proved to be his undoing. The infamous incident involving the bus attack, intended as retaliation for a personal dispute, marked the beginning of McGregor's descent into legal troubles. The consequences of his actions extended beyond the UFC and into the realm of criminality, damaging his reputation and sidelining him from the sport. The subsequent allegations of sexual assault added another layer of complexity to McGregor's unraveling narrative. Legal battles, courtroom appearances, and the public scrutiny that accompanied these accusations became a stark departure from the glory days of his MMA career. The failed attempts at redemption, including a comeback victory against Donald Cerrone, were overshadowed by the recurrence of McGregor's controversial behavior. Personal attacks, unfulfilled promises, and a seeming disconnect from the values that endeared him to fans marked the final chapters of his fighting career. In a surprising turn of events, McGregor's transition to the world of boxing, once a symbol of his global appeal and ambition, ended in a humbling defeat. The loss to Dustin Poirier further exposed the vulnerabilities that had crept into McGregor's skill set, mirroring the cracks that had emerged in his public persona. As McGregor faced legal troubles, losses in the octagon, and a diminishing aura of invincibility, the once boisterous fighter found himself on the receiving end of criticism, skepticism, and even mockery. The bravado that had defined his public persona transformed into a desperate attempt to maintain relevance and recapture the adulation of his glory days. The tragic downfall of Conor McGregor serves as a stark reminder of the pitfalls that accompany unchecked success and the importance of humility in the face of triumphs and setbacks alike. McGregor's story transcends the world of sports, echoing cautionary tales of fame, fortune, and the consequences of losing sight of one's core values. In the aftermath of his tumultuous journey, McGregor's legacy stands as a complex tapestry of triumphs, controversies, and a cautionary tale for aspiring athletes. Whether his story concludes with redemption or further setbacks remains uncertain, but the indelible mark he left on the world of combat sports ensures that the narrative of Conor McGregor will be remembered for generations to come.